My beloved child, the healing you long for does not come from your own strength, nor is it born from silent, strained efforts. True healing comes from me, from the hand that formed you, from the love that understands every hidden crack within you and does not despise you because of them. I know where you still hurt, where you have tried to cover the pain with a smile, where you have learned to endure for so long that you began to think pain was a part of who you are. I see the things you do not say, the weariness you cannot explain, the memories that sometimes return like a cold wind in the night. But my child, I do not merely see from afar with compassion. I draw near to restore, to cleanse, to renew, and to lead you out of what has silently bound you through many seasons. Yet I do not heal you by forcing your heart to open. My love has limitless power, but I still honor the door I placed within you. I can stand before that door with the patience of a father, knock with gentle reminders, send signs, conversations, and moments that make you realize it is time to release what is old. But I will not pull you out of darkness if you keep holding it tightly as a familiar shelter. I will not tear the burden from your hands while you still believe you must carry it yourself in order to be safe. I invite your consent. I invite you to speak to me with complete honesty. Father, I am ready to be healed, even though I do not yet know what this process will require me to face. That consent opens a new pathway, where my grace begins to flow into the dry places within you. Sometimes you think surrender means loss, giving up control, becoming weak before what you cannot see. But in my eyes, surrender is the moment you stop resisting life. Surrender is when you stop protecting your wound as though it were your identity. Surrender is when you no longer say, "I am fine," while you are worn down inside, but dare to say, "Father, touch the place I have hidden." You cannot be fully restored while still clutching broken pieces and calling them home. You cannot step into newness while returning to old paths, simply because they feel familiar. I do not force you to forget at once what happened, nor do I demand that you become strong in a single moment. I only invite you to give me one part at a time. Today's fear, yesterday's memory, the doubt that is slowing your steps, and even the questions for which you have not yet found an answer. Remember the paralyzed man lying beside the pool of Bethesda. He had been there for a long time, accustomed to waiting, accustomed to lamenting that no one helped him into the water at the right moment. When Christ drew near, he did not begin with a long sermon, nor did he ask why the man had delayed for so many years. He asked one thing that touched the deepest place. "Do you want to be made well?" That question was not because heaven lacked understanding, but because healing requires the wounded one to confront the familiarity of his own condition. Some people have lived so long in a certain state that they fear freedom itself, because freedom means they must rise, must walk, must live differently. But when that man heard the command and responded with action, the mat that had once been a sign of limitation was rolled up, and a new life began to unfold. Do you see? Grace came first, the call came first, power came first, but the man still had to rise. I am also asking you with that same tenderness. Do you truly want to be healed? Not merely to feel less pain for a moment, not merely to have your circumstances become more comfortable, not merely to have me fix others so that you do not have to face yourself, but to be renewed from within. Are you willing to let me touch the places you have avoided? Are you willing to release the words of self-condemnation that have followed you for far too long? Are you willing to leave behind the relationships, habits, thoughts, and choices that suffocate the life within you? I do not ask in order to shame you. I ask to call you out of the old mat, out of the place where you have lain too long, out of the story you thought you could never overcome. You are not alone in that journey. I do not stand at the end of the road and tell you to find your own way to me. I walk beside you in every step, lifting you when you are weak, teaching you when you are uncertain, comforting you when you must release what you once clung to. There will be days when you feel you are moving very slowly, but slowness does not mean failure. One small step in obedience is worth far more than years of standing still in fear. One sincere prayer can open more light than a lifetime of hiding. One decision to choose life today can break the cycles that have exhausted you for so long. Do not underestimate the small actions I place before you. Resting at the right time, speaking truth instead of pretending, seeking healthy help, staying away from what drags you down, forgiving so your heart may be free, and returning to me each day like a child coming home. I want you to understand that choosing life does not always feel pleasant right away. Sometimes choosing life means saying no to what you still feel attached to. Sometimes choosing life means leaving a place that was once familiar, but is no longer pure. Sometimes choosing life means letting tears fall instead of continuing to harden your heart. Sometimes choosing life means entering silence, where there is no longer noise to cover the pain, but where you can also hear my voice more clearly. Do not fear this process. A wound may sting when it is being cleansed, but not to destroy you. It is a sign that what was toxic is being removed. The things I reveal are not meant to condemn you, but to keep them from continuing to rule you in secret. My beloved child, I am the Father who heals, but I am also the Father who teaches you to walk. I can open the way, but you must place your feet upon it. I can give light, but you must stop closing your eyes to the truth. I can call you out of the old place, but you must stop returning simply because you fear the emptiness ahead. When you agree with me, all of heaven will support you in obedience. Not everything will change in one day, but each day you choose life, each day you surrender, each day you follow my voice, the old things will gradually lose their power, and peace will take deeper root within you. So give me your hand, my child. Do not wait until you understand everything before you begin. Do not wait until you are no longer afraid before you open your heart. Begin with one honest prayer. Father, I agree to let you heal me. Then walk, even if your steps still tremble. I will not abandon you in the middle of the process. I will not reproach you because you need time. I will not turn away when old things rise to the surface. I will be there, patient, strong, gentle, and faithful. My healing is living water, but you must allow it to touch the dry places. My life is calling you, but you must choose to leave behind what is dead and old. Choose life today, my beloved child. Walk with me, and you will see. What I have begun in you, I also have enough power and love to complete in goodness. My beloved child, let your heart understand something deeper than what the natural eye can see. True strength is not found in a dominating voice, not in a hand that knows how to control others, nor in the ability to make opponents fall silent through fear. True strength is revealed when you have the right to answer with bitterness yet choose gentleness, when you have reason to curse yet choose to bless, when you are misunderstood yet do not allow your heart to become dark. The world often calls power the ability to control, but in my kingdom, power is recognized through pure love, through quiet righteousness, through a heart that refuses to let evil make it become like evil. You do not overcome darkness by taking on the language of darkness. You overcome it when you remain in the light. Even if that light at first seems small, quiet, and unpraised by the world. There will be times when you are tempted to believe that if you do not react strongly, others will think you are weak. If you do not retaliate, they will think they have won. If you forgive, they will dismiss your pain. But I tell you that forgiveness is not denying what happened, nor is it opening the door for harm to continue entering. Forgiveness is the act of placing judgment back into my hands, so your heart will not be chained by what others have done. When you forgive, you are not declaring that the wound does not matter. You are declaring that the wound is no longer allowed to rule your future. When you bless those who once opposed you, you are not agreeing with their wrongdoing. You are refusing to let bitterness become the river flowing within your heart. That is a noble power. The power of one who has been held deeply enough by me to no longer need hatred as armor. Remember that the enemy always wants you to reflect back the very thing it has sown into you. If it sows insult, it wants you to answer with insult. If it sows betrayal, it wants you to live in suspicion. If it sows injustice, it wants you to lose purity in the way you conduct yourself. The scheme of darkness is not only to hurt you, it also wants to use that pain to change the way you love, the way you trust, the way you see others, and the way you see yourself. But when you choose to love with wisdom, when you choose righteousness even when no one applauds, when you choose to keep your heart from defilement, even when circumstances give you reason to be angry, you are interrupting that plan. You are saying through your life that darkness may touch the circumstances around you, but it is not permitted to shape the nature within you. You are standing in the freedom I give, and that freedom is a testimony stronger than any argument. Remember Joseph, who was sold by his own brothers, separated from his family, taken into a foreign land, then falsely accused and forgotten. If anyone had reason to nurture bitterness, it could have been Joseph. But when the day came when authority was in his hands, when those who had harmed him stood before him in need, he did not use his position to crush them. He wept. He tested their hearts. He saw repentance, and then he chose to help rather than take revenge. That did not make him weaker. On the contrary, it revealed a strength greater than power upon a throne. He understood that I was to turn what people intended for harm into a pathway for preserving life. Do you see? True power is not having the opportunity to retaliate and seizing it. True power is being able to retaliate and yet choosing to follow my higher purpose. That is righteousness refined through pain. Love that is no longer naive, yet has not lost its holiness. Therefore, when you face those who oppose you, do not quickly allow your heart to be pulled into the battle they have created. There are battles you win not with sharp words, but with silence placed under my guidance. There are conflicts you overcome not by proving yourself right before everyone, but by living rightly before me. There are people who will not understand your heart, and perhaps they do not even want to understand. But you do not need to exhaust yourself defending your soul before hearts that have already decided to view you through a distorted lens. Let your life become the answer. Let your integrity speak on your behalf. Let the peace within you testify that you are no longer being controlled by evil. However, my beloved, love does not mean the absence of boundaries. Blessing does not mean giving others the right to continue hurting you. Forgiveness does not mean you must return to every place from which I have led you out. My righteousness always walks together with wisdom. Sometimes love means staying and serving. Sometimes love means leaving in peace. Sometimes love means speaking gently. Sometimes love means speaking the truth clearly, but without poison. What I desire is not that you become easy to exploit, but that you become pure in the way you respond. Boundaries established in obedience are not walls of selfishness. They are fences that protect what I am healing and building within you. Let your heart be washed clean from the desire to win according to the ways of the world. Many people win an argument but lose their peace. Many people preserve their image but lose their gentleness. Many people make others fear them, but can no longer hear my voice within their hearts. Do not choose that path. I call you to walk in another kind of power. The power of meekness that is not cowardice, humility that does not degrade your dignity, love that is not blind, holiness that is not arrogant. When you live this way, not everyone may understand immediately, but the deeper places within you will be preserved. You will sleep with greater peace. You will pray with greater clarity. You will not have to be ashamed because you allowed pain to turn you into someone you never wanted to become. Every act of love done in truth is like a lamp lit in the midst of darkness, a blessing instead of a curse, a kind gesture instead of revenge, an upright choice when no one is watching, a moment of silence when words would only add fuel to the fire. All of these carry weight before me. You may think they are small, but in the unseen realm, they break many chains. They cut off the flow of hatred from one generation to the next. They put to shame the schemes that seek to pull you lower. They sow seeds for a harvest of peace that you may not yet see today. Do not underestimate hidden obedience, for many of the greatest victories do not begin with a shout of triumph, but with a heart that chooses what is right when no one knows. So, my child, live in such a way that the love within you is not contaminated by what others do. Let your righteousness not become an outer garment, but a flow from within. Forgive so your heart may be free. Bless so your mouth will not become an instrument of darkness. Love with wisdom so that you will not be bound to bitterness, nor swept into unhealthy dependence. I will be your defender. I will be the one who judges with justice. I will be the one who restores what has been damaged within you. Your part is to remain in the light, walk in truth, keep your heart pure, and let your life become evidence that my love is stronger than hatred, my holiness is stronger than temptation, and my righteousness is stronger than every work of darkness. Keep living rightly, my beloved. That is not the path of weakness. It is the path of those who truly belong to me. My beloved child, not every hand extended toward you has been sent from the light, and not every voice that comforts you in a moment of weakness is truly leading you back to peace. There are connections that enter your life with an appearance that seems very gentle, very familiar, very timely. Yet within them they carry confusion and pull you away from the purity I am building in you. When you are lonely, your heart easily opens the door to anyone who makes you feel needed. When you are weary, you can easily mistake brief attention for lasting love. When you long to be heard, you may easily see someone who speaks sweet words as a refuge, even if that person does not know how to protect your peace. Therefore, I do not blame you because you were once tender and vulnerable. I only want you to become more watchful, so you do not give the key to your heart to those I have not sent. There are people who come to awaken what is good in you, but there are also people who come to touch old wounds and make you think that bondage is love. There are relationships that at first make you feel less empty, but the longer you remain in them, the smaller, more anxious, more self-doubting, and more distant from my voice you become. Look at the fruit it produces. If a relationship requires you to trade your peace in order to keep someone's presence, it is not the gift I want you to cling to. If a person only comes near when you are weak, then uses that very weakness to make you dependent, you must understand that this is not pure care. Love that comes from me does not manipulate, does not make you afraid of losing it, does not make you forget your dignity, and does not lead you to walk contrary to what I have reminded you in your heart. Many times I have sent protection around you, not always in a form you could see, but through warnings, delays, closed doors, and holy unrest that kept you from feeling fully at peace when you were about to return to a place that wounded you. Sometimes you called it coincidence, but I called it guarding. Sometimes you saw a plan interrupted and felt upset, but I knew that if it continued, you would go deeper into something that was not meant for you. Sometimes you prayed for me to give you peace, and then I exposed the truth of a relationship, so you could clearly see what you had tried to ignore. But my child, the protection of heaven is not a chain that forces you to obey. I can illuminate, warn, guide, and shield, but I do not take away the power of choice I have given you. Angels may be sent to guard you on the right path, but they cannot walk in your place if you keep returning to the old road. Remember Lot in the city of Sodom. When destruction had drawn near, my messengers came to pull him and his family out of that place. Mercy came before judgment. The hand of rescue took hold of them and led them out of danger. Yet even after she had been led out, Lot's wife looked back toward the place she had been called to leave. That look was not merely a movement of the eyes, but the sign of a heart still bound to a place where there was no longer life, do you see? Sometimes I bring you out of a relationship, an environment, or an old cycle. But if your heart still turns back to it, with longing mixed with delusion, it will be difficult for you to step into the land of peace I have prepared for you. I do not tell this story to make you afraid, but to help you understand that obedience is not only leaving with your feet, it is also allowing your heart to truly release what I have rescued you from. There have been times when you prayed, "Father, please let me be at peace." But afterward, you opened the door again to the very person who brought disorder into you. You asked me to heal you, yet you still allowed old words to make new wounds bleed. You asked me to guide you, but when I placed before you the sign that you needed to leave, you negotiated with your loneliness. I understand why it is hard for you to let go. I know there are beautiful memories mixed with pain, promises that once made you hope, and rare moments that made you believe things could be different. But my beloved child, a few drops of honey cannot cleanse an entire cup of bitterness. A few gentle days cannot erase a repeated pattern that continues to drain you. Forgiveness is something I teach you. But forgiveness does not mean giving someone the right to hurt you again. Mercy does not mean standing forever in a place that causes you to lose clarity. I want you to learn to distinguish between love and bondage, between patience and self-abandonment, between holy hope and stubbornness disguised by emotion. There are people you can pray for from afar, but you must not let them step back into the deepest places of your life. There are relationships you need to entrust to me, instead of trying to become their savior yourself. You are not anyone's healer. You can love with a pure heart, but you must not sacrifice your peace to someone else's chaos. When I tell you to leave a relationship, it is not because I want you to be alone. It is because I am clearing the way for you to enter healthier relationships, where love does not come with fear, where closeness does not pull you away from me, where companionship helps you mature instead of leaving you depleted. Do not fear the emptiness that follows letting go. Many times you cling to what hurts you not because it is good, but because you fear the silence after it leaves. Yet that very emptiness can become the place where I heal you, where I teach you to hear your own voice again, where I remind you that you do not need to be chosen by the wrong person in order to know that you have value. I am your Father. I know how to care for you in the quiet season. I know how to place the right people in your life at the right time. People who not only make you happy for a moment, but also honor the holiness, peace, and calling I have placed upon you. But before healthy things have room to enter, you must let me remove what has been occupying space through fear and dependence. So today, have the courage to look again at the relationships around you in my light. Do not only ask, does this person make me feel less lonely? Ask, does this person draw me closer to my peace? Do not only ask, do I love them? Ask, is this love still pure, free, and obedient? Do not only ask, can I endure more? Ask, am I inviting you to leave this? When you are honest with those questions, I will not let you go astray. I will give you wisdom that is gentle yet clear. I will strengthen your heart so that you do not return because of one message, one repeated apology, one old memory, or one sudden wave of longing. My protection always walks together with your obedience. When you choose to listen to my voice, you will see the path before you becoming brighter step by step. When you choose to leave what harms you, you are not failing at love. You are honoring what I desire to protect within you. When you choose not to return to a place that has repeatedly shattered your heart, heaven does not see you as cold. I see you as a child learning to walk in wisdom. Let me lead you out of the bonds that do not belong to me. Let the hands I send lift you up instead of allowing misguided hands to pull you back into the old darkness. You were not created to live in cycles of pain and false reconciliation. You are called to walk into peace, into purity, into relationships that reflect my love. Choose obedience, my child, and when you choose rightly, you will realize that what you lost was only a chain, while what you received back was freedom. I do not want you to come to me only when every door has closed it. When your heart is exhausted, when enough tears have fallen and you have nowhere else to run. I gladly help you in your cry for rescue. But I long even more to walk with you through the most ordinary days. I am not only the one you call when the storm rises. I am the Father who wants to sit with you in the quiet morning, who wants to hear you speak before your heart becomes heavy with burdens, who wants to guide you before you lose your way, who wants to remind you of what is true before the world has time to cover you with false names. Do not make me your last refuge after all your own efforts. Let me be the first breath of your day, the first voice you choose to hear, the place you return to, not because of desperation, but because you know you are loved. There are distractions that appear harmless, yet they quietly steal your ability to listen. A little rushing, a little being swept along by other people's words, a little immersion in news, a little watching the lives of those around you, and little by little, these things become a veil that covers the peace within you. You may still do many things, speak many words, and pass through many days, while inside you are drifting farther from the true source of life. Distraction does not need to destroy you in a single moment. It only needs to make you forget to sit with me. It does not need to steal your faith with a loud explosion. It only needs to make your heart too noisy to recognize my voice calling you. Therefore, be careful with the things that constantly pull you away from my presence. Not everything that attracts you nourishes you. Not every familiar sound is worthy of an open door in your heart. Remember the boy Samuel in the temple while the night was still quiet. It was not in a crowded marketplace, not amid cheering voices, not in a place filled with noise that the holy call rang out, but in the stillness of the night, when everything had grown quiet. At first, Samuel did not recognize that it was my voice. He ran to Eli thinking the one calling him was a familiar earthly voice. But then he was taught how to answer, how to open his heart, how to stand in the posture of one who was ready to listen. And when he said, "Speak, for your servant is listening," a life directed by my voice began to open. Do you see? There are calls that can only be recognized when you are willing to stop. There are words that only become clear when you are no longer chasing every other sound. There are directions given only to those who know how to listen with a tender heart. I am also calling you in that way, not always with thunder or radiant signs, but often through a gentle prompting, a very quiet reminder, a silent peace, a pure awareness that draws you away from what is not meant for you. But if you keep filling your days with noise, you will easily mistake hurry for guidance, pressure for duty, and fear for wisdom. I do not drive you with panic. I do not lead you through confusion. My voice may be solemn, may correct, may call you out of a familiar place, but in my voice there is always life, light, and the love of a Father for you. When you learn to be still, you will gradually discern what comes from me and what is only the echo of the world. Stillness does not make you weak. It restores you. In stillness, the dust of days is shaken off. The names others have placed upon you begin to lose their power. The anxieties that once ran in circles through your heart are no longer fueled. There, I remind you who you are. You are not the sum of your failures, not a rumor, not a fear, not what the world judged in a single moment. You belong to Christ, covered by grace, called into light, and led into new life. When you forget this, you will easily live like someone who must fight for worth. But when you remember that you belong to me, you will stop chasing fleeting approval and begin to walk in the dignity I have given you. Therefore, set apart for me a space that is not divided. It does not need to be impressive. It does not need to be burdened with formality. And it does not require overly polished prayers. I only ask that you come sincerely. It may be a morning when you sit quietly before the day begins. It may be an evening when you lay down everything you have heard, seen, and endured. It may be a few minutes amid your busyness when you close the noise outside and say to me, "Father, I am here." Do not underestimate those small moments. Often in a very brief moment, I place within you new strength, new clarity, and peace sufficient for you not to respond from hurt, not to decide in haste, and not to run after what only pulls you farther from me, my beloved child. The world will continue to be noisy. It will continue to rush, invite, demand, and distract you. But you do not need to live like an unanchored boat. Return to me each day. Let my voice become the most familiar sound within your heart. Let my presence straighten what has become bent, soothe what has grown tense, and heal the weariness you have carried for far too long. When you know how to be still before me, you are not running away from life. You are receiving strength to enter life with clearer eyes, a steadier heart, and purer love. I am nearer to you than you think. Listen, my child. It is not because I am silent, but because I have always been speaking in tenderness. And when you choose to leave the noise and sit beside me, you will realize that what you have been searching for all this time is not found in the clamor outside, but in the holy nearness between me and you.